Undisputed middleweight champion Marvelous Marvin Hagler dies at age 66 after one of his biggest rivals, Tommy Hearns, said he was in an ICU fighting the effects of the vaccine. When I was young, 8, 9, 10, father was a boxing fan. So Hagler, Hitman, obviously, Sugar Ray, Roberto Duran, those kind of guys I remember catching a fight here and there. Now, remember, I was like 8, 9, or 10, so I'm not going to remember those fights really well. But definitely a legend in the sport. And obviously, with what comes with it, the vaccine, the story is going to get a lot more run. Let's learn a little bit about this. I haven't read the article. I wonder if we'll find out which one he took. But he is a little bit older, so he would seem to have more complications than somebody who was half his age, for instance. If this ever became a thing where they started talking about the side effects, you know how the narrative has been woven, how it's been spun. Well, it's mostly safe. Forget about what you saw over there. It's safe for the most part. Definitely a sad passing. Don't want to take anything away from the Marvelous one, but I keep coming back to this. Hagler passed away at his New Hampshire home at 66. He held boxing's middleweight championship title between 1980 and 1987. He was the 1980s Fighter of the Decade and was inducted into the Hall of Fame. His wife Kay announced his death on Saturday, claiming it was unexpected. Earlier on Saturday, former professional boxer Tommy the Hitman Hearns said Hagler was in ICU, fighting the after effects of the vaccine. Members of the boxing community have paid tribute to Hagler's life and career. There's the champ right there. There's the Hitman and Hagler going after it. It looks like it was 85 here. So following his death, the Hitman shared this: "Allow us to have our peace. Our love and respect to Marvin and his family. This is not an anti-vaccine campaign." So you see how you definitely want to, if you're family or friends, kind of push that stuff to the back because you know each side is going to have some things to say about it. It's outrageous to have that in mind during such a passing of a king, a legend, a father, a husband, and so much more. Crapper R.A. the Rugged Man tweeted before Hagler's death, "One of the greatest athletes of my lifetime, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, is in ICU fighting the after effects of taking the vaccine. Tommy Hitman Hearns just posted about it. I hope this great champion recovers. One of the GOATs. #boxing. The hell's R.A. the Rugged Man? What the fuck is that? There's a statement right there from the Hitman that I read earlier. His son James told TMZ his father was rushed to hospital with chest pains and was experiencing trouble breathing before dying about 4 hours later. A statement on Hagler's website read, "We are very sad to report that Marvelous Marvin Hagler died on March 13th of natural causes near his home in New Hampshire. He was a champion until the end. His family asks for privacy at this time of sorrow." The unfashionable Hagler, who turned pro in 1973 out of Brockton, Massachusetts, took 7 years to earn his first middleweight title crack after almost beating everyone in his path. They talked a little bit about his career there. We'll kind of skip over that a little bit. If it was a bit brash that he officially changed his name to Marvelous Marvin Hagler in 1982, who could begrudge him after all he had been through? Joe Frazier told him in Philadelphia in the 1970s that he had 3 strikes against him. He was good, he was a southpaw, and he was, all the way back in the 70s. And they ruined a great story about a great man. In 1985 came Hagler's finest hour when he slugged it out with Hearns in one of the greatest fights of all time. He walked right through Hearns in 3 savage rounds. Both of those guys were black. Both were good. Both weren't southpaws. He only had 2 strikes against him, apparently. So here you see these disadvantaged gentlemen having all these strikes against them, fighting for the championship. Sugar Ray And Hagler right here, this fight I actually do remember listening to on the radio. The radio, right? Of course, my dad was more of a Sugar Ray fan, so naturally we were pulling for Leonard to win. Here's some tweets. Rest in eternal peace, the Marvelous one. Michael Buffer says, I am crushed by the news that Marvelous Marvin Hagler has passed away. He was in his prime, pound for pound the best, going 11 years and 38 fights without a defeat. He dominated the middleweight division for a decade. 62 wins, 52 KOs, 3 losses. RIP forever, champ. Short read. We want to keep it away from the old issue and keep it focused on Marvin, but obviously the albatross is there. We want to try to keep things focused, as I said, but you can't get away from what it is. The best middleweight ever, RIP champ. RIP, sir, you were a legend. Taken too soon. RIP, RIP, sad to hear this. Good deal. Comment section stays away from, you can speculate on that on your own, and I'll go think about that on my own. But being somebody that, as I said, was raised as a Sugar Ray Leonard fan, obviously the gentleman I mentioned, Hagler, Hearns, Duran, all of these individuals were all great during the 80s. So it's definitely sad to see somebody that I remember hearing about fighting as a young kid succumbing to something like this. That's all I got for you guys. So take care, everybody. Thanks for watching. Be well.